Hey YouTube, this is Battle Carrier, and today I'm playing some Borderlands 4. I've been working on a kinetic rocket launcher Vex build. Now, I started on the red tree with trouble trying to do a cryo build, but unfortunately that tree's a little bit weak, so I ended up switching to green tree using Blood is Power with Teen Witch and Super Soldier. Which is fine because it gives you basically infinite rockets with a slower rocket launcher. So I'm going to start here with some gameplay. Alright, here we are in the Vault of Inceptus, and hopefully I don't blow myself up because I only want to do one take on this. And we're going to show some mobbing with the rocket launcher. I will say the one downside to this build is that it's very easy to blow yourself up. But we are playing on Ultimate Vault Hunter Mode 5 here, so we're one-shotting just about every enemy. Now, it doesn't have to use the rocket launcher. I like this Torg shotgun for mobbing sometimes. Especially if there is a mob that is quite fast and likes to get up in your face, you can swap to this shotgun and just take them out. We've also got an amp shield, so when we have someone who's a little bit tankier, oh there he is, just kind of obliterate them. Didn't need to shoot that guy twice, he was bleeding out. We do take bleed on this build as well as an extra multiplier.
I hate those things.
Alright, that's probably enough mobbing anyway. Let's see how the boss looks. Okay, and let's see how it does on a boss.
Get in! It's over!
Really? That's kind of funny. Well, there we go. Alright, well we're back at Sanctuary. Let's see how the build works. I'm using a Torg rocket launcher with shrapnel and airburst. Basically, the airburst will cause the shrapnel to all shotgun the boss because it pops right in their face and then a shrapnel goes back and shotguns them. I know it says Rubber Band Man, this is a visual glitch, ignore that. It's actually got high caliber on it. The guns don't really matter, but I'm using a Torg shotgun, a Chaosun, a linebacker, and a truck. The shotgun and the truck are really good for enemies that get close or enemies that move a lot in the air, such as Cratch. So you can snipe the Cratch and then just shoot melee things with shotguns. We're using a rep kit with amp and splash damage. This is just to give us a little bit extra damage on our next shot, as well as a boost in damage for about 8 seconds. It's on a relatively low cooldown and it's got 2 charges, so we can keep this up pretty easy. We're also using a really lucky find, honestly. This Torg enhancement. The Torg part's not really necessary, but it is kind of nice because I like explosions. But the gun damage, the gun splash damage, and the gun critical damage will all apply to the rocket launcher because it is a gun. The critical damage notably only works when you hit a weak spot with it. Forced crits don't work for it for some reason. Now for our shield, we've got the Super Soldier Shield. This is part of the reason that this build works. It has basically when our energy shield is full, we're going to regenerate 1 ammo per second. The movement speed is a nice bonus as well. Our rocket launcher only shoots once per second at base, so regenerating 1 ammo per second basically means that we have infinite ammo. Now, Super Soldier does give us 25% fire rate, so we can eventually run out if we're firing it really rapidly, but I haven't run into a situation where I need to use that many rockets to kill anything. And then we're using Teen Witch. This is basically going to make us an immortal. Shots from our rocket launchers will life leech our shields and overshield, which will make it so that Super Soldier is basically always up, even if we do amp our shots with our rep kit. I could really have a better one here. Any of the skills are actually helpful except for the one that I have here on the far right, the one with the heart with the 2 arrows going up. This is on the red tree. It's giving us action skill damage, and that is the one we don't really care about. This one, Corporeal, basically just gives us 6% damage per point. This one is really nice. It gives us extra damage after we get some kills because it's giving us lifesteal. And then the other one it gives points in is also another 6% damage per point. So the class mod would be ideal if it had some mix of the 3 first skills on here without that 4th skill. But the Ordinance critical hit chance here is really nice. For the firmware, I took 2 points in Gadget Ahoy. You could also run 2 points in Airstrike here. The first level of that will give you some splash radius. I already blow myself up enough. I don't think I need 20% more splash radius. But if you want more splash radius, go for it. High caliber, I take this because the projectile speed is really nice for hitting enemies with Torg projectiles because they move a little bit slower. And the gun damage is actually basically multiplicative in high caliber. If you are aware that the enhancements are really strong because the gun damage and gun type damage modifiers on an enhancement are multiplicative, well, the 10% gun damage from high caliber is actually a part of that pool. So that 10% gets added to our 25% here, which is a lot more valuable than adding 20% to like 150%. Then here I took Deadeye because it helps the gun accuracy, which helps the rockets actually go where I shoot them, and I could get easier crits on weak spots. You could also take Get Throw in here because it gives you a 10% additive ordnance damage boost. Now for the skills, not really anything to write home about here. We just took damage boosts everywhere. We've got some splash damage here with Volatile Essence. Leeching Attunement, whenever we're in kinetic, we get some lifesteal and reload speed, which gives us some bonus damage. We'll get to that later. Then we've got Bloodletter. Our gun critical hits will apply bleed about 50% of the time. And that bleed is going to hit for 30% of gun damage per second for 4 seconds, which basically means that when it procs, it's giving us about 120% bonus damage. Then we take Material Components for kinetic damage and kinetic status effect damage, which also improves our Bloodletter. Target prescience. This gives our ordnance a 15% chance to crit even if it doesn't hit in the head, which we really need because rockets almost never hit in the head, but I digress. We take 5 points in conjunction because this is going to give us just some gun damage when our shield is full, and some damage reduction if we get to low health, but that generally doesn't end up being very useful, that second part. The gun damage is what we want. We also take 5 points in Grave Vitality. This is kind of a filler point. You can put it in Grave Vitality or you could put it in Ars Arcana. I don't really use skill damage very often, so I'm not really too worried about it. I took the life, but if you want to take Ars Arcana to milk out your damage just a little bit more, then go for it. Essence Leech gives us just some life steal and gets doubled while our action skill is active, which means that we get even more life steal and therefore more damage while action skill is active. And finally, Blood is Power. This gives us bonus kinetic damage based on our life steal when our health is full. Unfortunately, two things do not apply to this. Leech from RepKit and Leech from Firmware. I have tested it, it does not work. So basically this is only counting lifesteal that you get from your tree and lifesteal that you get from class mod, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. We have 6 more points to put in, and honestly you could put these anywhere. I chose to put 3 of them into Idle Hands, which gives us some reload speed when we're using our other guns. And then I put 3 into Hasty Fiends, which gives us some movement speed and damage reduction. Battle Carrier from the future here. As you can see, we're now decked out in the Torg colors. This was for the thumbnail. I was in the middle of uploading when I realized I never talked about my skill choices. Honestly, the skill choices don't really matter, which is why it was so easy to slip my mind. Basically, we take Incarnate because it gives us the movement speed, and the other 2 options, we only have 3 points in the tree, so they're not really viable. When we pop Incarnate, it gives us Volatile Essence and Essence Leech, double defects, and we're using Witchy Trigger Finger, which will give us some gun damage, stacking up to 3 times. Honestly, a minor bonus there, but it is helpful and it helps you burn through bosses faster. One thing to note about Witchy Trigger Finger is that you could theoretically do a gear swap on a boss and get a auto launcher, a Torg auto launcher. I believe I have one of them. So you could grab something like this. It's an auto launcher with 25 rockets. It has an increased fire rate and it has 2-shot. So this will go really fast, and while you are in your skill, you'll be able to actually refund the rockets every time you cast your Eldritch Blast. And I've tested this out. You should be popping the Eldritch Blast at about 6 rockets left, so you should be able to maintain constant firing of those rockets the entire time that you're in your Incarnates. I personally don't like doing gear swaps, and as you saw from the boss earlier, it's not really necessary. So I generally just stick with the slow firing Torg launcher. We don't take any capstones because the only one we would have access to here is Heart Piercer, and it doesn't really give us any benefits. It's just going to sacrifice health, which I believe that turns off our bonus damage when our health is full. We will leech it right away, but it's just not worth taking. In the specializations, I went 20 into Survivor, Brute, and Gadgeteer. The passive skills I chose were Riddle You This, which gives us a stacking gun damage buff. The Best Defense, which gives us 30% more damage whenever our health and shields are full, which is basically always. Full Spectrum Arsenal, which gives us ordnance damage now benefits from 50% of our increases to gun damage. We are getting gun damage from Riddle You This, and we are getting gun damage from Conjunction. So because of that, on your class mod, any extra points you could get into conjunction are actually nice because your ordnance will kind of double dip. Oh. And finally, we're taking fragmentation payload, which gives our ordnance a chance to critically hit enemies by 5% and also increased critical hit damage by 50%. A few other things that you could take if you wanted to. The kill skill for excess damage being stored and added to your next gunshot. You're overkilling quite often with rocket launchers, so this could be good for killing a chump enemy and then one-shotting a badass. As you saw from the gameplay earlier, sometimes badasses take 2 rockets. Not always, but sometimes. You could take In the Zone, which, if you're aiming down the sights of your rocket launcher, this should, in theory, give you some critical hit damage and gun damage. And Groundbreaker, which is pretty broken right now, so you could use this to just, like, do a ton of damage. Well, that about wraps up this build. A couple notes I wanted to make are that Blood is Power is highly likely to get nerfed in either their first or second wave of actual downward balance changes. We don't know how much it's going to get nerfed. We don't really know what Gearbox wants the baseline power for builds to be, but Blood is Power is giving us like 120% or more sometimes bonus damage for just 3 points and very minimal build around, so I fully expect this to get nerfed. However, I also expect that in their first wave of buffs that the red tree will get some sort of buffs. Now, there is some cool stuff you could do here with Trouble. You can give Trouble a ordnance damage aura, and you have a few ways to scale ordnance damage. And then you have the ability to give your minion damage increases to your ordnance damage. So in theory, you could do something cool there, and you could go into Cryo, you could use Shiver to get a nice additive damage boost, which will apply to both you and Trouble. You do have some multiplicative boosts on this tree. You've got Enchantment, you've got Infusion, and you've got Deadwire. Deadwire proccing off of a rocket launcher shot is insane. I've seen Deadwire alone hitting around 250,000 shock damage. However, it's too infrequent to really match the power of the green tree right now. But with some improvements, which hopefully will come in this next wave of buffs, I can definitely see this tree being something useful. Because if you take Trouble Bubble, you can throw Trouble out into a group of enemies, into a boss. The Ordnance Aura will leech Overshield for Trouble, and Trouble will be able to tank that boss and usually distract them, allowing you to just go ham with the rocket launchers. I really do like Trouble. I tried so hard to make this work, but it's just... I was probably doing about half the damage that I'm doing now. So if this does get boosted in some reasonable way, I would actually like to give this another try. At any rate, if the green tree does end up getting nerfed, and hopefully the red tree will have been buffed at this point, I will update my guide. I'll make a new video giving out an update once I've had a chance to really test going the cryo route. Otherwise, I'll have to figure something else out. But I'm very interested to see where this goes as far as balance. But yeah. Thanks for watching this far. Go ahead and give the video a like so it could reach more people. Show your friends if they like to make a lot of explosions. And I hope you guys are all having as much fun with this game as I am. Peace.